beyond a shadow of a doubt, and I mean, there's certain elements about Spider-Verse for me that are still just untouchable, but I haven't seen it a second time yet. I feel like I might. One of the things that I think was so special about this is that even some of the better Spider-Man films that we talked about over the years were like, but the things
okay, kids, can't play nice. You lose your armor-piercing toys. Aren't slowing down. What are they trying to accomplish?
I gotta save it. I gotta hold it back. I got the stuff. That's my match.
Sure you do. All right. So
stay safe out there, officer.
What I loved about it, they told you right away. This movie with the voiceover. Nobody looks like Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
Ratting him out, doing the whole thing, and then the fact that he's that moment when everybody finds out. It's like when you're sitting at home and you do something stupid, and then somebody starts tweeting out at you about it. You're like, and imagine the whole world is tweeting at that moment, and he's like, wait, this, and he's a child.
Yeah, dude.
He's a child, and so that moment to me really worked.
I agree.
I love that immediately MJ was the one in peril, because that's like it kind of represents the reality of he's up there. Like literally.
Funny lines too about like, I thought your dad liked me, not anymore.
Yeah, like so MJ is like the ground. She's the one that would encounter the stuff first, and I really love how there was an immediacy of like rescuing her and like saving her. And like there was an immediate Spider-Man moment of the web swinging through New York, which we talked about, but it was with purpose. Like they were like, hey, we know you want a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. We know this is a giant Sinister Six Spider-Verse movie, but while we're here, let's give you some web swinging in New York. Let's give you some MJ moments. Let's give you those things that we know you want. And then the rest of the movie systematically goes through and delivers on friendly neighborhood Spider-Man moments, but in the grandest scale possible. This did exactly what it needed.
I think one of the things that got me is like I didn't think the film was gonna stay.
Ooh, love that shot.
As far as like the leadership, but there was the very first negative review that came out that was like, this is my character, Now, watch those movies. First of all, it's been 20 years. Second of all, it's not even the 20 years, the last, 5 with the 2 films. But third of all, the entire first act, if you were not aware what the fuck was going on, connects you immediately to what's going on. Oh, did I say that word?
Yeah. I love that you don't even know.
Yeah, it's just a part of your
It's being southern and black, bro. I can't help it. That just flies off the handle.
That's fair. Well, this movie, though, when it starts out, and I was, through the trailers, nervous, because I like the first 2 movies a lot. And I just having a conversation with Ben knows he's not a big fan of Far From Home. Right? That movie gets better for me. I know you feel the same way, too, as far as Nose did, right?
No. I like it.
Okay.
It has gone down a little bit, but I still love it.
I think this movie makes that one even better.
Yeah.
I like Far From Home a lot, but what I am always the stuff that I have said that I don't love about Far From Home is the Ned stuff, of the silly, all that crap. And so I was worried going into this one. I'm like, oh, they're going to do this Hardy Boys thing, and they're going to be in a really nice moment, and they're going to ruin it with
Pigeon alert!
Kids work.
Don't fly away, please!
The bond that they have all together. There was some, I said it, 90% of the humor worked.
It is my responsibility to catch that pigeon.
Yes, so, and you take as many jokes as you can, but it's even, I guess because I've seen it, there were too many.
Taking you home, buddy.
Way too many TV trailers, everything too.
Yeah.
Because
I stopped watching TV.
Because the dude moment was kind of ruined for me. The dude.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing, like it was a
Like the opening when
the very opening when.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's coming. It was a cute moment. Because it's the pace in which it's 100 miles an hour of how he's swinging from
through the sewer. Like, no, like, okay, no more swinging, okay, down. No,
10:30. All our vehicles under duress from net and nav. Additional officers requested near Flatiron.
I guess that's why I was so befuddled by people that were like, just I'm so sorry. And Mary Jane be like, oh my god, like, so fast.
Connection, even says I'm
I'm still broke.
Figure out how to make your like how to make it on the internet. That's real. The part that I still wasn't all the way on board with yet. Major moves already. Next guy. Is showcasing the best thing done, but he wasn't character. I was like, so he's bombarded by all of this attention, and for so long he's been trying to hide his identity. And it's really like traumatizing after what just happened with Jill.
Right.
So he gets there and he's trying to. It is sort of a sitcom moment with Happy and May.
Demons aren't just
why Happy and May had to. Why they were breaking out and fighting. That was never really explained. Because remember
in the last movie, because Happy like wanted it more, and she was like trying to break it off, but he said
trying to break it up.
Yeah,
No, she broke it off because so the same way that Ned came back with Betty, which the other thing about that, I don't know if you knew, I'm sure you knew this, that Ned and Betty were married in the comics.
Yeah.
So that's why they kind of had that thing, and then the divorce happens because of the whole
that's
Hobgoblin shit.
Yeah, because that's
it was
enough
a
time.
But
But
yeah, no, I get it.
After
I get it. But that was the whole thing.
That's a keeper.
Happy fell in love with May, and May was like, oh, too much. Like,
he wanted something, and she was like, this was supposed to be.
This is a summer fling.
Yeah, and then she says pointing again as a callback. So it was all set up.
Alright, so that was fine. But so that then if I go back and watch, I don't know. Fine, and I have less of a problem with that. But the problem, I think that when they're sitting around and he's revealing it, even though it's a funny bit, and he's just like points and the helicopters are outside, I just didn't feel like the urgency of guys. Like, I wanted to see him more like, all right, shut up, you. Like they were fighting more, trying to get back together. I really got to tell you something. More so that it was.
So that's also a callback to the last movie where he was trying to not talk about stuff by talking about their relationship. Remember it was
I know, but this is different. This is your entire life crash.
Oh boy. Rockets! They got rockets! Goddamn!
And I get that. I think the other thing about it, though, remember, they didn't walk in and he's like, busting the front door, like, help me. He's standing there naked, he's trying to get the costume off. So it's
and again, funny bit.
But I think that's why he couldn't immediately get it out, and he was more concerned about trying to hide it, because he was just like, no, I wasn't having the sex, I swear, but like,
it's not no, I'm saying that. Of course, it's just another thing that you compare it to the thing with Ned and Betty on the plane, which I think as opposed to that's just cute.
Yeah.
And it's really heartwarming. Plain shooting.
that's fair.
Yeah, at all. It's fair. Because that happens and it's needed. And then there's the Matt Murdock.
so quickly.
I gotta, it was super fast. I didn't think it was super fast, but I gotta talk about this, because the only thing to me that almost
Humans need a vacation or something. Dudes are way too high-strung.
Condition. He's not a super strength or anything like that. Obviously, his reflexes are there. The fact that he caught a brick at maximum velocity barehanded, that was the only...
He's a very good lawyer.
No.
Gotta get to Officer Davis's medal ceremony.
That was a funny line, but I was like, bro, put your stick up, like, fucking, like, hit it with the elbow.
That's two.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I was
heard that one.
Yeah, no, I heard that
one.
Spice on it. I felt
It had some spice. That was the only thing that I was like, bro, you're not super strength, like, super stamina.
Yeah, but I feel like with Daredevil, the way he's been able, he's a physical, like his fists are like he uses it, so his hands gonna be able to endure some
brick full speed, bro.
And
I mean,
requested fire from demons. Incident is ongoing near Union Square. Please copy.
Because I don't know enough about the characters to know whether he knew it or not. And the fact that he can still do all
Because
these
he
things.
flexes can. He can definitely stop it either way.
Didn't bother me. The fact that he's there and the introduction to it.
Yeah.
This was an introduction to the character for the only reason to say he's in the MCU, which I'm all good for. You didn't need him in the movie. No, he wasn't necessary to the plot. It was just to let everybody know. Hey, guess what? And if you just watched Hawkeye, guess who's back?
Now it all ties back in.
And now it ties back in.
If only that had been a surprise.
Yeah. I mean, look. Well, yep, it happens.
Sorry.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Does it?
I did. So,
But I think that moment was one of those, like, Aunt May is cool with him being a superhero. I think she knew that I think she knew about Matt. To me, I sensed that reflex wasn't a surprise to May or Happy, which I don't. I feel like there was a knowledge of...
They knew that he was there now?
I think the reason that, like, May hired him was, like, a certain...
Happy might have known.
Yeah.
I mean, Happy knows about all this.
It feels like it would make sense.
Only
but the way
Peter seemed
he
surprised that
acted,
thing got caught.
The way that Happy acted the whole time, though, it seems like he did it. Maybe I agree with you. Maybe on May,
because it's also like her, like, I have a superhero problem. We have to find a superhero lawyer, like, you know, and have it like my son, my nephew has this thing. Who do I get? The guy that would understand.
And I'll tell you what, though, I'm going to push back against myself and say how it's not. I mean, anybody could have done. It didn't have to be Matt Murdock. But the reason why the lawyer in general was important was to let us know. I mean, because I was also worried about. All right, so this whole thing is going to be about him now. They're going to put him on trial. And they're going to say like it's his thing. They're going to say he's guilty of a murder. Then we got to go through a trial. And he's like, look, these charges aren't going to stick.
Right.
And he's oh great. Well, not too great because this is the world that we live in today.
right?
It's about public opinion.
Right.
You're guilty
And
first.
we needed a lawyer to tell us that.
Right. Yeah. You're guilty first on Twitter before you're guilty in
But I actually really, I'm saying it sounds like you loved it too. But like, I love that because like you said, do not have to go through that entire and get to that entire because I didn't want it too much. It would have been a 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we didn't have to go through all of that. But like you said, it does speak to what is going on right now, where you may not be in legal trouble, but you are in trouble, which we get right away. Right away. Trying to get to college, you can.
And I love the idea in the back of the book, how many times we've seen this. He walks in to school and like tackles people are cheering him and tackles him.
Hannibal Buress.
That Hannibal
Buress
Buress
was
hilarious.
He was dying. I thought this was it for him because Martin Starr, JB, obviously the shrine and Hannibal. Hey, Martinburg,
His delivery was so good. He had me every time he opened his mouth because I was watching him. Yeah. And you just watch him as he's looking on the side. He's just like, yeah.
So, they apparently shot more stuff, so I'm really hoping this on the DVD. There's more teacher stuff, because I was hanging out with them after the premiere, like, hanging out with Tango and JP. And, like, and that's what I wanted to see more of, was, like, those moments, because, you know, it was the premiere and I got to have those moments. I wanted to have the moments, whereas you're saying we didn't get the Spider-Man persecution.
I gotta stop that car.
Spider-Man on the run, dealing with ramifications, and I get why we had to go through it. I could have used a little bit more skill first.
Yeah, I don't know how you did it. It was a good thing.
Young man, I will pull this car over right now. More of them? For criminals, these guys have an impressive social circle.
Not getting into all these schools, you know, it's nothing to get into something.
Well, see, the thing that was so weird to me, and this has always been a gripe for me with previews, I don't know about you guys when you got your letters. When I got in, it was a big ass.
Oh, it's a different, yeah. It's a no, it's this, and a yes.
Exactly. Not just a small, that's like,
you know what it is in the mail.
There it is. Like both panels on.
In this reality, so
Do auto insurers offer a living clause yet? $1 million idea just waiting to happen.
Again, why that review was insane to me was the fact that everything that he cared about personally, about science, about like you said, his friends, that all being completely erased, and you're getting that same moment that Toby got, which is going to tie later in the story of like, so what do I do? Am I Spider-Man or am I Peter?
Right.
And it gets brought up by
How do I make sure
the
Spider-Man
in the movie. It's the whole
entire
thing, and it's the motivation. Because I was curious, well, why is he going to Doctor Strange? Just because they don't know? Because everyone knows he's Spider-Man now? Like, what's the real motivation? The motivation is not that. It's because he's protecting his friends.
Yeah.
It's not him. Like,
It doesn't even come for himself.
no, because
And it tells the administration person it's not about him multiple times.
Yes, because in the trailer, that trailer, you're like, okay, so he's just doing it because he doesn't want people to know. That's how he's going to deal with it. It's like, no, it's not that. It's because he doesn't. He's not going. He cares enough about both of his pals that he doesn't want to screw it up.
And the story this is based off of, he's so selfless that he's willing to sacrifice his love for Aunt May because it's about not himself. So they did that really well in this, where it's like not about Peter. He very much doesn't want to be a Peter. And I really dug the scene when they're talking about going to school, and Ned's like wicked crime, which as a Bostonian I needed that moment. But I really liked the whole thing was about he's going to continue this on as long as it doesn't hurt his friends. And they do that in really subtle ways, like, hey, we're going to live together. I'm going to do my thing as long as it doesn't.
And I like that they're also bonding with him. They're like, of course, you're part of the crew. And then you have Flash who's trying to get involved now, when Flash shows up, and they give him the blonde hair.
No sleep till Boston, MIT.
And it was funny that how all that kind of played in, because now he's accepting and I also like the fact that for so long he wants to be Spider-Man, but remember he hates Peter Parker. Right? Yeah. But the fact that he still, there's that great scene when he's trying to call him on the phone. He's talking to him like Peter Parker, but yet he still wants to be his best friend.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was a very subtle and fun moment.
Yeah.
It was also that funny callback.
Reports of a narcotic sale in
Like,
progress.
I know Spider-Man.
Available officers, please proceed to Koreatown.
You would call Penis Parker.
Yeah.
That would have like making fun of. So it's funny to see that, but I love that again. The tone here is this is about Peter becoming a man, what man he's going to be. So even the fact that like I made the decision to be Spider-Man, you didn't. You were just so I'm not going to have you suffer for any of the things that I was involved in, no matter if you were with me from the start. Like, this is about me. Yeah. He tries multiple times to also be like, you're not coming with me. You're not doing it. It's just me. I'm going to handle it.
Right. So before we get into ultimately what he's fighting, after that first part of it, the way that's all beautifully set up, why he needs to go there. That's the reason why I really enjoy the beginning and the development of it. Like, okay, now I know exactly why he needs to go there. But before he went there, what did he do? He was shaving his balls on a back. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Demons are getting worse than Fisk ever
I don't know
was.
if you knew that or not, but it's true. You know why he was doing it? The holiday season.
Officers, pull your wounded back. I'll handle this.
Off free shipping at manscaped.com with that code. Love your name. Just getting introduced to them over the last couple of years. Use it religiously. 4.0 is incredible. Body wash, all of it. Like everything I have. Manscaped's best-selling product is the performance package. Every man's wish list. People are balls, your butt, your body, and the now, the dad's not talking about this. The teens secretly buy it, and the women will love it. These are our insured fire numbers for one.
Demons aren't slowing down. What are they trying to accomplish?
And Manscaped signature cologne. These formulations are all vegan, cruelty-free.
Stay safe out there, officer. There's more with these.
Know the product are legit. Make sure you gotta hurry on over to ensure that these wild gifts show up before the holiday season. While you're at it, 20% off free shipping at manscaped.com with that code. Big thing.
Maybe this will help me balance work and a personal life.
Get him some.
If I ever find time to read it.
Almost sure to get a laugh. All right, 20% off free shipping at manscaped.com. Use that code. Big thing. Be the ballsiest gift giver this year with Manscaped. Pretty good at
Spider-Man skin.
All this for little old me?
I think they did that in the trailer. Remember in the trailer they had him look at it, and I think that was specifically to throw off the
They did it exactly that week that when they knew they were
And I felt just from the way that the what if played out as well, it wasn't gonna make sense for him to still announce it and watch over Killmonger and Ultron fighting each other. So it would only happen if some major, and I think that as we get also to the end of the film, the post-credit, it makes more sense having seen that post-credit scene than it would for this one.
Absolutely, and so he gets there, and this was one of the funnier payoffs. Peter goes, tells him, hey, you gotta do this. He's like, what are you doing here? He's helped out some of the space. Yes, better than Wong. And I love
That was a workout.
why he's not the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, the 5-year
He's been
flip-flop.
on for 5 years, and that relationship that they have overall.
Yeah.
Does that happen? Does Wong become Sorcerer Supreme at some point?
There's like a one spin-off storyline where it happens, but it's not like quite a what if, but it's adjacent or it's not the scope of what it is in the show.
And that is the other thing that was interesting to me. I'm fine with creative liberties and whatnot. It was just weird to just be like, oh, we're just gonna put the same storm just in a blizzard came through.
There's the
there was
stage
no
entrance.
reason for it. It had
And
nothing
we'll
to
be
do with
right
the
out
story.
front.
It just was a
It added a Christmas element, which I really enjoyed.
I guess
That was
that's
good.
Holly Jolly flavor. I was like,
That was a
You'll
little
be fine,
yeah, and I was
honey.
fine.
and I was fine with it. So, and I
Last
love
time
the
I
one
gave
was
a
like,
speech, I was in high school.
leave me out.
Miss Steinberg
Yeah.
gave me a C minus.
So they do the spell. He allows them to do the
If
spell.
only Miss
So
Steinberg
Wong
could
is
see you
lighting up.
now.
He's been doing it.
Hey.
I like that he makes reference to Shang-Chi without making reference to
Yep.
Shang-Chi. I
I like that they explained a giant reason for him gathering people in like a one line of dialogue.
Yeah.
Like him being Sorcerer Supreme, what he's doing, what he's been tasked with, his higher responsibilities. That was really clever.
It 1,000% makes sense why even though, I mean, I guess they saw him in the fighting arena, as you're saying about gathering him, why he was there not to train.
Exactly. Higher responsibilities.
Yeah.
And if he was glitch, you wouldn't need someone for those 5 years.
Right.
And it would make sense that Wong, they very smartly made Wong not a sidekick. That was really problematic in comics in the 70s. So they've done really good anymore.
So good. So anyway, then the whole deal starts.
It up. That is a moment for me where Ned Leeds steals a Green Goblin costume and dyes it, and that's how he becomes the Hobgoblin. So in that scene, I was like,
well, it was very similar to me. One of my biggest critiques, where I've kind of come around to now because I've developed a little bit more of her personality in Kate Bishop for Hawkeye, is that I just thought she was a little too accepting to jump into it all.
I mean, come on, you say Spider-Man. I'm pretty sure that makes you an official
Now
superhero.
she's, especially
A superhero.
5 at the time. This era.
Or maybe I'm just a guy who doesn't give
She's
up.
a little bit more like, I tried so hard. I've always wanted to be Avenger to get into that. One little line explained it, but well, my grandmother says I can use magic. Portals start opening up. Doctor Strange has to train.
right.
You know what I mean? Like Wong and
Welcome,
Chin-
everyone. Before I hand it off to Mayor Osborn, I'd just like to say a
big
few
moment.
words.
Yeah. So I was forgiving of it.
Yeah.
But that's the
So?
type of thing where it's just like, okay, he's just
I think this
now
gang
taking
war
it
may
easy.
finally be
He's
over.
shutting out to it, so he's magic. And then he gets
over,
recruited by
over?
Strange. But we'll get into that. Get into it.
There's some
Because
loose
we gotta
ends
get
still
into
to be
the
tied up,
actual-
but
Loose ends.
The moment before the highway scene, which changes
a truck
the time.
pulled away from the scene from a company called
An hour
Consolidated
before.
Shipping.
It happened a lot.
Something not right about it.
Like, I thought the third
Still
act
not what
was
it was.
gonna happen in an hour and a half, and instead
Well, maybe
the
after
first
this we can
act
grab
is
some
the third
coffee.
act. The second
it out
act is,
together.
is like
Yeah.
a weird second act in a play.
Well,
This was a
thanks,
five-act
Jim.
structure. This thing was something
Couldn't have
else.
said it better myself, but
Having
I'll
it in
try.
that early, it shows you why it was necessary to show.
We all
everybody
know
because if you
that
don't
Officer
show-
Davis is a hero.
But,
Can't tell anybody
instead of
what's
coffee,
going on.
maybe we could have dinner instead.
We didn't. I remember.
I could
at
come
one
over,
point,
I'll cook.
when we find out about why they're
Or we
there.
could,
we both at the
you
same
know,
time
meet
like,
at a totally neutral
all right,
location
okay,
for
now that
a completely
makes
normal
sense.
meal,
But
cooked by professionals.
before we get into the highway scene, another good character
For
building
acts
thing was
of
the
extraordinary
ultimate
bravery.
end of the movie.
Above and beyond the call of duty, it is my privilege to present
And he's like, well, I
Officer
wanted to
Jefferson Davis
spell where everybody was
with the Department Medal of Honor.
I like the plan, but
Phone call, sir.
Kind of in the middle of something here, Jim.
what's
Sounds
going
urgent,
on?
sir.
And he's like,
Fine.
and I mentioned this in my spoiler review. This is why
Congratulations, sir.
I think Tom Holland is such a great actor, and we've mentioned this every time we mention Braveheart. I mention that scene. But the eyes.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
She tells him that she just
I
wants to
share
know
this
all
honor with my
he
family.
looks, and he's just like,
My wife Rio
he's just like,
and my son
this
Miles.
is why I love you.
Yeah, there's so many moments.
Without
of
their
love
support,
on his face in this movie where it's just pure
I couldn't do what I
devotion.
needed.
Yes?
I've worked many years for this
I
moment.
know that he is a great actor.
Who is this?
And I truly believe that, but I think
Over the
this is
coming
the
days,
same
your
thing that's
company,
potentially
your
happening where there's
city,
a little
and
extra
everything you
hand,
care
the
about
same way
will
that
be
when you had
destroyed.
Garfield dating Emma Stone.
Yeah.
People will beg you for help, but you won't be able to
You can tell
save
he's
them.
not having to pull it. Right. It's just
Listen,
he just loves it,
jackass,
man. He just
I
looks
get
at her
threats
because he
like
loves her.
this
Right.
twice a
Then we
week.
get to go,
Why
like,
don't you grow a pair and tell me
Yeah,
what you want?
he does a lot of
To
things
watch
in
you
this
suffer.
movie that were real emotion, from love to grief to a lot of different things that he's just on another level. To rage. There's so much he does in this movie. He's so Peter Parker. You know what's a bummer? What's a bummer is I'm talking about it from Big Night, and we're talking about just a general Oscar Academy Awards now. It's very rare. I agree. I think
This is as good as The Impossible or whatever that what incredible.
Defoe changed my perception of what Osborn, his Osborn, but So then that leads to the highway scene. He knows at that point.
Miles!
I gotta take care of my friend. I don't give a shit.
Miles! Are you okay?
That was super.
Yeah, right.
The suit.
Right.
They did. Yeah, we've touched on it, but I want to say very clearly. This movie
Miles!
every single
Miles!
with the MCU Spider-Man and went
Peter!
into that in-story and evolving.
Peter!
It made Spider-Man not reliant on the spider suit.
Right.
It made him reliant on spider
Miles!
sense. It made him reliant on
Miles!
spider sense in a new way. Spider-Man in a different way. It involved science in a way that was actually integral to the character, not stark science. Science.
You hear me, baby?
It removed him from the Avengers, but did yet do things in his own way, and it made Peter Parker responsible
Stay
for his
here.
own.
I'm going to find your father!
Is kind of redundant, but he was responsible
Peter,
at
wake
all
up.
times instead of being like, oh, someone's
Come
gonna
on,
catch
say
me.
something,
So
please.
it was the Spider-Man movie we all wanted.
This wasn't Tony Stark Jr. that people
At
had
any
problems
point.
with.
And they literally made that joke. There was an Iron Man Jr.
Yeah,
cover.
there was.
So I felt like that with the screenwriters literally read the message boards for the last 3 years where it's like, let's write the movie that
But in a different way than the Riding Skywalker.
Mom!
Yeah.
Oh, 1000%. And it did it where it felt less of like crazy, more of like, oh really?
Yeah,
Need to get around somehow.
At this point, let it fly.
You had a problem with Iron Man, dude?
we're gonna find out on it. And it did that with the we were talking about it in the third act, but it did it in such a way that it improved all 7 Spider-Man films in a way that felt like, oh, we're gonna make all of them your favorite Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And it really made it serious.
It was. Well, that's why when John Watts said that it was the end game, when you see the movie, you go, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Not
Mom?
the 3.
Mom!
It's great to because it makes B and C-list characters A-list. I didn't know you could make an A-list character like Spider-Man A-list. And that's why I think the Spider-Verse it's a character I already love.
Damn it!
It's a character that I've enjoyed the flaws in.
Hurry!
And it elevates a character that is already the
Flipping!
character to me to another level.
I can't wait till we finally get to the field because I really
Are you okay?
Nice going, kid.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
And the fight was incredible. A lot of fun to watch. It was classic Doc Ock versus Spider-Man.
You sure you're
Very
okay?
different fight.
Yes, I'm gonna be alright. I'm gonna be alright.
Alright, Lisa. I have to go find Dad, okay?
Goes off the bridge and he comes back.
No.
Had that
Miles, no!
Marvel moment where she
Dad's in
and you yelled at him.
I'll find him.
But you know, it still is like, okay, so this part we're not going to try to take too serious. It's kind of goofy. And then he takes him down, and this is the part I really love: the separation between the Raimi movies and this was that you're playing with a different Parker with different technology in your body. So you're Peter realizes
Dad's alive. I know it.
and he takes over it like that. And the guy's like, wait, what the hell's going on? Raimi's movie's over.
And that felt like a comic book to me in that when you go to other worlds in comic books, it's always
It was
like,
right there.
Technology.
Yeah.
And in this, they always talk about like, oh, this world has magic, this world has this world. And I was like, oh, our world
Hell.
2000 would feel like it's got crazy technology and magic. And it was really weird in a whole reality moment, in a Matrix moment of like, to the 20-year-old self of the Sam Raimi universe, this would feel like exponentially better technology.
I won't lie. I definitely had a moment because obviously this is still Stark Tech doing this. So there was definitely a moment where I heard Tony almost like as like a Spidey ghost being like he was like even in death I'm
right there.
I'll just save you once again. So like it was great.
It was great, and it worked out really well. And
Yeah, it's better than you I really enjoyed
and
it.
he brings him up on the bridge. But the great line is call back to you. And it really resonated to me. Where do you think you're going? When Doc Ock is in and I'm like, yeah, all that stuff. And then when in respect to him at the same time, no, of course, and all that. So when watching it, and then prison.
Yeah.
And then we find out more. Doctor Strange lets him know and have that reveal. This is the scene that you and I were like, oh, so everyone who knows that you're Peter Parker can come through. We cut off the gate. But there's a bunch of people here who know Peter Parker in general. Yep.
So here's the only thing that maybe I missed something. When did Lizard and when did Sandman know? And when did Electro know that?
Can't cross yet.
Because Norman and Doc Ock, because obviously he reveals Doc Ock right before he decides to save them.
Lizard knows it. Lizard knows it from, remember when he sees the stupid camera and it says
That's right, it says property of Peter Parker,
and then he
so that's
stalks
correct.
him.
That's correct. And when did Electro know?
Electro knows through Max. I mean, not through Max, through Harry. Harry tells him about because it's Gwen, and everything.
Okay, so when did Sandman?
That's the one that's
Sandman because of my uncle.
Gotta find a way around these guys.
Oh, you're right.
Look at you, look at you!
I just watched these movies on rewatch.
Bro!
Now available on this very channel.
Right.
Yeah, no, that was and like with the ingredients. I beat you guys too. Yeah, it took me so like longer to put two together than you could have three and ready with it. I was like, Sandman.
Yeah, that was it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let me finish the
He's been watching the
I guess we should get out of here.
He's back.
I already did that 45
See you guys.
but yeah, so then the prison scene happens with all this happened, and then we said, okay, so everybody who's coming through now, great reveal of it, because now we know, okay, that's what the story is.
Yeah.
That's it. So they're going to send these people back, and then you start thinking, well, wait a minute, what does that mean then? Does that mean when they bring, you know at that point that Toby and Andrew, plus the fact you just knew at this point how they were going to bring them in, not him anymore. And now, at no point in the movie, because there are some people that at no point in the movie that I think they were not for sure. Right?
That was right there. Gotta help him. Now.
But what I was curious about was, as far as timelines go,
Would it be a cameo? Would it be?
no. What version of them was coming in? Because if Doc Ock clearly is coming in right at that machine, he said I had him and I was ready and I had the machine and then right before the moment that they died, that's when they got there. So then I'm like, well, wait a minute, does that mean that we're getting a 2012 version of it? But then I realized
Enough! We have to leave. Now!
In that regard is that if we're in 2021 for this film,
Yeah.
that was Toby in 2021, that was Andrew in 2021.
No, it's not 2021, it's 2025 or something. Do you remember?
2023.
Flip.
Yeah,
2023.
2023.
Sorry.
You're kicking your ass today.
You really are. I don't know what's going on.
Showdown mode right here. I got
really are.
It's Marvel Geek variant.
Apparently, what the hell? You must have really loved this film.
Dad.
But
Dad!
But I guess that was the whole thing for all
Dad,
of
no!
them, since that's where they did. Because the Sandman, that wasn't Sandman, like, because remember
Wake
he just
up.
died. He just
stuck
went
Wake
off
up.
the sand. He just went off to. If I don't forget, then he just right off in the sunset.
That was the only thing that, out of all those questions that we just had, that he said they came here before their moment of death. He's the only one that didn't come their moment of death. They didn't really acknowledge that.
But I think that's the whole thing, though. It's because in 2023, in his universe, he's with his daughter. Remember, the only thing he says is, I need to get back to my daughter right now.
Right.
That's it. Which is also weird, though, because she'd be an adult. So
Well,
maybe,
it just depends on where at what point
We don't know when he got
We don't know
pulled.
when he got pulled. We're
well,
not really sure.
but based off of where the Spider-Man got pulled,
No, but that's what I'm saying.
No, but
though.
I think that's a different
They're not
timeline.
connected.
It's not
They're
a time
no,
pull.
because remember, because Alfred Molina got pulled
because he was dead. I get that.
But he got pulled in 2004, whereas Goblin got pulled in 2002. Whereas Toby looks like he got pulled, 20 years later because he looked
Yes.
guilty as fuck.
But that's my point. I
That's
think
your
that's the Sandman that got pulled in 2023. That's what I'm saying. Is that based off the fact that
Well, that wasn't
Toby-
explained. It wasn't.
No, I agree with
Yeah.
you. I think if they had explained it also with Toby and Andrew, that would have been enough to explain it for Sandman. But they never explain it. We just know it based off of their.
Well, they
story.
talk about
I don't
like the things that
know it though.
they talk about like the things that happened to them after, and it looks like a long span of time.
Right. That's what I mean by we know it because they give us examples of what they've been dealing with since they've been gone.
Because he said, I want to get back
sorry
to
for
his
your
daughter, but he
loss.
also wanted to get back to his daughter in
the ring.
Do I know
Right.
you?
And also,
Right.
he might not age because he's Sandman.
Peter Parker.
That was my thought.
I was at City
Either
Hall.
way.
We haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, we haven't gotten there, but
we got to talk about one of the most visually
I know you
stunning
don't know
scenes
me,
in perhaps
but
the entire MCU.
I just
Spider-Man
wanted to
fighting
say,
Doctor Strange.
I know what you're going through.
The most
yeah. It was
amazing.
Ditko thing I've ever seen in my life.
and that comes after
That's what
all
you were gonna say,
the other
right?
reveals here. So when we get to
Or
this whole thing, the
it
setup
all
of
gets easier with time.
What you need to do now is you need to use this thing. You need to find.
Don't worry.
I'll find some people. You find.
It's part of God's plan. I'm sorry. I was just trying to help. You know.
I'm sorry about that. I don't know what I'm gonna do with him.
I'm sorry, Jeff.
Then we're gonna send it back. Yeah. So, and this was. And,
I'm busy.
I forgot about
What's
this
up?
Have you started looking for Martin Lee yet?
No, I told you I can't start a manhunt based on a hunch from Spider-Man.
But I'm telling you, he's the guy.
Get me some solid evidence and we'll talk.
Solid evidence.
In context
Right.
with Zendaya getting to actually do her work.
It did.
Because it worked off Zendaya, it did not work off the void of the trailer.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
joke
yeah.
does not land if
but
one
so,
person's like...
So he goes and they do it and they get it, and then that's why again the Hardy. I like that he does it on his own. They're watching from the side.
Yep.
They're there together. They're not trying to take them on the adventure with them, but they can do it from the side. Love that. So he goes in there, and then that's when we start to figure out we're gonna get Sandman and Electro.
Yeah, that Sandman scene.
So the Sandman scene I love because it does take the essence of what Thomas Hayden Church brought to that character and why we always said we wish he would have just been the guy in general because he had the most depth in Spider-Man 3 at all. And he's trying to help Peter.
Yeah.
He's trying to help him out. And then the fact that he got there in general, you know, that he was there to help out. Electro, in the beginning, I had an issue because to me this is what it felt like, and I don't know if it's true or not, just how it felt. He comes in, he's blue, and then he turns into the Electro, more of the traditional look that he's got, but he's not Max anymore. He's Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
And he's cracking jokes like Jamie Foxx. He's just, and I get it, you transfer it over here now, and now you're cooler, you feel this power, you like it. But my problem was this, and I said this to you in the screen. It felt to me like Jamie Foxx was like, I'll come back, but I don't want to play the character like that anymore. I want to play him.
I almost guarantee that.
I went back and because I just wanted to see, knowing that it was death moments, I just went back and looked very quickly at the final fight scenes for people. So I don't know if you remember, by the time that he actually meets the Harry in Amazing, he has become Jamie Foxx. That the transition happened. So early on, he's super nerdy. He's like,
yeah, it did feel in that movie that I was like, this happened quickly. So I do remember there being like a very Jamie Foxx conclusion.
So by the time that final battle happened, he had become Jamie Foxx,
which is fine as far as the look. It was less about the look for me and more about the attitude.
But I'm saying the attitude is there because if you go back, remember he's getting
cracking jokes.
I promise you, he was getting tortured by the dude at Oscorp.
He was more like this. He was more like sinister, and he was Jamie Foxx and just cracking jokes.
For me, he was like a 7 out of 10 Jamie Foxx and Amazing. This was a 10 out of 10 Jamie Foxx. I wouldn't have minded a couple scenes of transition into like him getting more confident with power, like just like a 7 to a 10, like a 3.
I didn't mind him getting there. I just wish he would have got there.
Sure.
But I think that
I do agree with what you said about the end, but I do think that was not quite full Jamie.
No,
it would have been nice to see a little bit of a tick.
But I did love where he because I was like, okay, if they do this the entire movie, and it's just going to be Jamie Foxx. But I think that he gets out of that pretty quick.
Yeah,
once his motivation comes to try to get that Stark power thing and try to,
he goes back to more maniacal comic villain.
His addiction to, because he never really wants to go back.
No, he cares about the power.
He's convinced about it from the whole way through. So he's got to be, he's very reluctant when that whole box.
Also, I really appreciate the fact that we got, Doc Ock, who's got the crazy because of the leg still. We've got Green Goblin, who we immediately wonder what his motivations are.
Is that a thing? Electro doesn't know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and I'll tell you why. Because at the end of it, at the end of this film, remember, Andrew comes out, pulls his mask, and goes, "You're white." I thought Spider-Man would be black, so he didn't know.
Doesn't know he didn't knew his face could still.
But he knew his
name is Peter Parker.
Okay.
Which is the way the spell works.
Yeah.
Okay.
All that matters is a spell.
Yeah, he doesn't necessarily know the way he looks.
Peter Parker might be a black
I just thought I caught you, bro, because I was like, no, because that was a massive moment.
Because if Harry says
manager challenge has been revoked, the manager challenge has been thrown out. I'm sorry about this one. Points go to Christian Harloff.
But I also think that joke was very funny. That was a Jamie Foxx joke. That was probably
no. That was a Miles Morales joke. That was a Miles Morales joke. That was a Miles Morales. Not at all. That was
we needed a black Spider-Man.
Yeah,
but not that part of it. But when but just that first line of "I always thought you were," because then he said, making a
No,
reference
but
to
you know,
Miles.
but that's what I'm saying though. That Electro that we saw is the same Electro that Miles fights, the blue, full blue.
No,
so I'm saying, so knowing that, just being from that universe, that was more of a comic nod to the fact that the Spider-Man fight is Miles.
So, but either way, Electro gets put into that, and they had this whole thing where Doc Ock is trying to figure out. Oh, and there is that line that we didn't really mention before that I still think doesn't work very well. It's one of my least favorite jokes. It's like, your name is Dr. Octavius, whatever, too. Like, it's pretty lame.
Well, they lean into, like, I love the one that lands better, that is the same joke, is you gotta be careful where you're falling. The falling,
hilarious.
That was like one of the best lines in the Spider-Man movies, period. But I do feel like they tried to give each one that line, except Sandman. Like, each villain got a self-deprecating, we're a comic villain line.
They all played...
Anna's just didn't land as well as the brilliance of the falling line.
Yes, and...
Who had the falling line again?
Jamie Foxx.
It was Jamie
Yes, it is.
You gotta be careful where you fall, I guess.
Like, I fell in a bunch of electric eels, and I fell in a super collider or whatever.
And then, because you got sideways Thomas Hayden Church dryness, and juxtapose Jamie Foxx like horrible bosses. Gotta be careful where you're falling.
Speaking of him, though, Sandman, what I thought they played very well is that he says it as much as I don't trust anybody, because every time he tries to do something right,
he gets betrayed.
And he got betrayed again. So he thought, where Peter was, he gets put in that prison, and it's just like, and then Jamie Foxx even says to him, you chose the wrong side.
As I was saying in my little mini rant, was each villain lands mid-arc from where they left off, which is so genius, because it's a movie about second chances, and the movie's about giving second chances to an almost sinister. Getting second chances and then self-actualizing or not. You've got a villain that was wanting power, getting power. You got a villain that was wanting control, getting control. You've got all these things landing while you're juggling all this stuff. So the character arcs that people don't feel like landed, I think they missed the point.
Yeah, well, if you're going to make a bet on which villain was the one that really was going to deliver, a lot of people would say maybe Doc Ock. But, well, listen, as far as making bets and figuring out, you should, before you even do that, you should do it on DraftKings. And what you need to do on DraftKings, for everybody who didn't already know about DraftKings, it's phenomenal. We've been working with them for a while, but it is Christmas time. And DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, has a gift that will certainly put you in the holiday spirit. New customers can bet just $5 on any NBA team, and you can win $150 in free bets if they're victorious. It's a great way to get some extra jingle in your pocket. So all DraftKings Sportsbook customers bet up to $50 instantly, as DraftKings gives away up to $10 million in prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and use that promo code BIGTHING. Bet just $5 on any NBA team. You can win $150 in free bets if they're victorious. That is the promo code BIGTHING this Christmas week at DraftKings Sportsbook. It's an official sports betting partner of the NBA. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants to help, call the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Gambling Disorder Helpline at 800-270-7117. That's 21 and over. Michigan only. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for full terms and conditions.
Yo, Coy, you want to hear how evil Christian is?
Yeah.
He sent me a birthday text, happy birthday, man. And I was like, oh, thanks, bro. I appreciate that. I'm in Vegas right now. I was like, do you want me to place a bet for you or anything? He's like, oh, that's nice of you. Yeah, I might have you go place a $100 bet that the Giants beat the Cowboys just for you to say it out loud.
And I was like, with full awareness that they're probably going to lose.
Just for that, because you wanted that feeling.
Did you do it, or
you didn't tell me to
back? I wanted you to
you would told me to pull the trigger. I would have done it.
You know why? Because they're going to win now. Because I didn't.
You didn't do it.
Yes.
So,
It's like the Tony Soprano scene when he's into going through that mush.
So your soul gets to win. You get to win here because your team.
It's true.
And you get to know that.
Whatever.
Speaking of winning as a villain.
Yeah, so good transition. Look, Defoe crushes it, because Willem Dafoe is one of my favorite actors for sure. He's a great actor. He always brings it. As we talked about on the rewatch series, and by the way, if you didn't know about our rewatch series, all the Spider-Man movies is a playlist. After you're done with this one, you can go back and look at all on the entire rewatch series. Willem Dafoe is, because of the Raimi tone, right? He's always like, ah, in every scene. That's gone.
Yeah,
he's still big. He's still big, but he's scary. And it's like this craziness that's going on in his head, because it's also that part of Norman Osborn that you felt when he to Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, that he was like
comforting and treating him like his son. That was there.
Which is why when we first see him over at Feast with Aunt May, and he's like, "Oh, please help!" I'm like,
still the
bro, I literally was like, "Nah, bro. I remember where we left you. You did that right before you threw the glider into Peter,
Right.
or you attempted to.
Right.
This is a sham. I didn't believe it, and then." And this was what was so brilliant by Defoe and Watts to do this. They then spent the next 30 minutes to an hour suckering you in. And you're like, okay, maybe we're good.
Yeah.
Maybe we're good.
I bought it,
It
man.
really is okay. We're good. Oh my God, here it is.
And we'll get to the reveal of how they figured that out, because that was genius. And it was terrifying. But the idea of him, he's like, I'm somewhat of a brilliant scientist myself. Like,
So-
all back line. Yeah,
that's a great callback.
The callback to
Didn't you want, though, back to formula?
Oh, that was
I was waiting.
To keep name dropping, when I was interviewing Willem Dafoe at the premiere,
Oh my God, this bitch.
I mentioned that line, and it was before I saw the movie.
Formula?
I knew I mentioned the something of science to myself line. I was like, you're actually one of the first memes, blah blah blah, something of science to myself. And he smirked at me with that Green Goblin smirk. And not only now do I know why he smirked, but also like to have the Green Goblin smirking, because it wasn't Willem Dafoe smirking, it was the Green Goblin smirking. So there's footage of me going like I actually got the chill, and I now know he was setting up for my interview. That moment happens on camera, and it's for all of us. It was such a
nice moment, and he does it, and he comes in, it's just working together with him, and I love the idea that the Doc Ock that we know, and we're not really talking enough about Alfred Molina, who's such a brilliant actor, but how he played it very similar to what he took off in 2002, and why people love that performance so much.
Yeah.
And everybody, no matter if you think it's overrated or if you think it's the best superhero movie of all time, there's no one that doesn't say that Alfred Molina isn't great, and he carries that over here.
I think what Watts did and what Feige did and all these actors, I think they when they offered them to do this, and they were like, this is what we want to do, they, like you said, the same way they read the comments about how do we change the rest of this Holland series to make it better, I think they said, okay, what works? And it's like, Alfred, I don't think you need to change anything, bro.
Right.
I think you're fine.
Yeah.
I think you know Defoe, I think the craziness is good, but it was too how do we keep the craziness and tone down the candy? And they went through each character.
Well, you can tell the directing. Because
I'm so excited for the Fantastic Four now.
Yeah, well,
Because of John Watts' direction. Dude.
Well,
John Watts is going for,
Well, Willem Dafoe is a brilliant actor, and you can tell he took the direction that Sam Raimi gave him, and that was the tone of the movie. It wasn't. It fit the movie. This fits this movie, right? For what we're doing here. Because if he would have done that completely over the top, because even when he's talking to him, and by the way, they pulled off what the Last Jedi couldn't, and that's why you smash the helmet. He smashes the helmet, and the reason why he smashes the helmet is the same motivation. They didn't want to keep Adam Driver's face covered for the whole movie, and they didn't want to keep Willem Dafoe in that thing the whole entire time.
It doesn't fit the tone of this.
It doesn't fit the tone of it, plus the fact that you put the hoodie up, make him look more like the old school character.
I was glad you recognized it. I wasn't
Come on,
sure.
man.
I was just making sure, buddy.
He knew how all of them almost died in Peter Parker. He's on it right now.
Got a point, but the fact that you were able to get closer to the original costume, I thought was great.
Yeah.
And it also suckered us in. Remember, it suckered us in because as an audience member, we're like, "You're crazy.
Yeah.
You are." That was the hint.
Yeah.
That was the hint when he sold the donuts. That was enough to let you know he's still psycho Norman.
Well, it was still there, right? It was still there when he was able to do it, and there was a nice moment to where, and it also sets up more about Aunt May. It was like, we gotta help him.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Aunt May in this. The way they make Feast a character, the way they make Aunt May the reason. I mean, we get to the moment, the sad moment, but the way they make Aunt May his beating heart of compassion, like we hadn't had with a lack of Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
What they do here, again, going back to my systematically fixing things, is they give us an Uncle Ben for this universe that we've already met, so we care so much more.
Yeah.
And it makes us retroactively love all the beats with Marissa Tomei in other movies. Because she's always been compassionate, always been caring. This is the first time we get full scenes of it. We get to actually live
much of it, and it basically is the reason why he then says, because he is still that anger isn't there, right? It's like, I just watched West Side Story twice.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it recently, but the whole point of the movie is that Maria and Tony are so in love, and they're just, everyone else is consumed by hatred, right? Consumed by this anger. They aren't, right? They just want to get the hell out of it. They just want to be in love. By the time that, spoiler if you wasn't seen it, by the time Tony dies, Maria now has that anger. She picks up the gun. She's like, I can hate now, so I can kill too.
trying to do that also.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what happens to Peter. He's consumed by love throughout the whole entire movie. He's consumed by it. So when he's trying to help, it's all legit. And then it's just a great moment when they finally, as they're doing the experiments in the apartment, the Happy's apartment, and they were going to work on everybody, and Alfred Molina's the first one, and they cure him, and he's like, thank you, and he looks at him, and then he looks at Norman, he's like, Norman, we're back, and then this is the whole point of Electro. Electro doesn't want to do it. He's doing it. He's going along with everybody else. He keeps staring at it. He's like, I don't know if I want to do this. And then Sandman who goes, just chill out. Yeah. Just I think it's did Sandman or is it or I'm pretty sure it was Sandman.
Because he's the voice of light.
Sandman's like, chill out. Just do it. Just relax. And then we're gonna figure this all out. And look, it worked on him. And then it plays into that moment.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm leaving everything out, but
we skipped the Doctor Strange moment, but we skipped the Doctor Strange.
I did that in my
yeah. So there's a 5-minute sequence in this, which this is further talk.
Very important.
That is probably the best visual representation of Doctor Strange comics I've ever seen. I love Scott Derrickson; he's a fantastic director, but I feel like the Doctor Strange movie had to do so much. We didn't get sequences like this. This sequence ends with science. It ends with Peter Parker using scientific magic in Doctor Strange. Like he uses the Peter Parker brain to take out the most powerful sorcerer, maybe Wong is right now, but you know what I'm saying? And he does it in a way that's only in time. Like, come on, let's be real. But he does it in a way that is playful. He does it in a way that entire sequence is both of them fighting, which always happens in comic books. Every comic book is like, instead of teaming up, we're going to fight first, then team up. We got that entire sequence. And these are two creations from Steve Ditko and Stan Lee from the same year. These characters have been tied together in their own interesting way, and now in the true Ultimate Spider-Man movie, for my money, they get to interact in a way that is so authentic to both their characters and elevates both of them in the MCU.
Dude, the best moment was watching that fight with Christian where he knocks him out of his body. And he was like, Christian at first thought it was really campy, then like Spider-Man, and I was like, oh dude, that's Spider Sense. I thought you were like, what the hell? No, okay. No, I feel like the fact that Spider Sense is
I said that's hilarious. Yeah, I did. You did point out, like the Spider Sense. You said you can see the lines.
Yeah.
No, I love that.
Okay, my bad. I thought you said that part was campy.
The second time I watched it, so it's like a 5-second scene, but the first second he's like using one hand, and then the last time he tries to do both, and Spider-Man does this like spooky move that is literally from the comic books. Like, and it was the one time I was like, oh, that's why he has to be CGI sometimes.
Yeah, he said,
he does this.
Well, but I also, it was such a great Spider-Man moment also because he then says, he goes, that was really cool. Just don't do it ever again.
Yeah. And him swimming gleefully back into his body, like it's so Spider-Man. So that whole Doctor Strange sequence, like to me, that could have been the movie, and I'm glad it wasn't because this was amazing. But I did see like, oh, this is what this could have been.
Yes, and that was why when you see in the trailer, like the Inception part, the building, and he goes, where are we? He's like, we're in the mirror dimension. Like, great explanation of it. Makes so much more sense too. And then him trying to play it out, going,
oh, this is just a blah blah blah. That's it. The works of no scientist.
So then he, and then yes, we left that out. So we get back to the apartment
when they're doing more science.
When it all goes down, right? And then it's Doc Ock, Norman, we think, and Peter. And the Spider Sense goes off. And it's first J. Jonah Jameson comes in.
So wait a minute, wasn't it? I thought it was from Jonah, but it was. We're watching the take of Electro. Like his thing's about to go off.
Yeah,
so they're all there.
They're all there. I'm saying, but they're in a side room.
Got it.
But we also
the great comedy scene with Jamie and him, and he's like, because he's like, one question. Those your Legos?
Oh yeah.
That whole scene that was worth getting to the Jamie stuff quickly because I needed that moment.
It was. And then the Lizard is in the van. Doesn't want to have any. The Lizard's another one. He's not. He wants nothing to do.
He wants to make everybody a lizard.
That was funny. He's like, I can make you so much better. He's like, why make me a lizard? It was really good. So, and they had that whatever's going on in the van. And at one point, people walk by. They go, what's going on in there? With the lizard and and then J. Jonah Jameson.
So Forest Hills Movers written over with peace was so my Spidey heart.
Well, J. Jonah Jameson comes in, and now he's and this is the whole thing he's been trying for the whole time, trying to really expose Peter, expose the whole thing.
While you're bringing up J. Jonah Jameson, the thing we didn't talk about with him is the fact that he is some schmuck in his basement.
Oh, the green screen scene!
And then he's got the full studio once he actually drops that. But that was amazing.
That review when they pulled out, and I was like, oh, he's a YouTuber. I was like, oh, I I've done this. This is rough, JJ.
Very, very different from what we've seen in the past. But he goes there and he's got his crew with them, and they're just ready to set him up. They know something's going to happen. They know they're going to be able to expose this kid finally. So we get to it, and then the spider sense goes off. And as an audience member, you're like, what's he sensing?
Yeah.
What is it? And then he's looking at it, because what they did so brilliantly is because even Willem Dafoe was looking around like, what are you hearing?
Yeah.
And then you're like, what's he hearing? What's happening? And then he's like, something is off. And he's just moving around looking, and he hits Willem Dafoe.
And then we finally hear that laugh, that beautiful.
You just know it. And that speech that he gives.
Oh, man.
And you understand.
While fighting him, honestly, I know you love the Doctor Strange fight, and it was brilliant.
Yeah.
To me, this was even before the last fight, this was the fight of the movie for me. Just because
physicality.
But not only the physicality, it was bone chilling. Yeah. Because then there's points where like Defoe is slamming him through floors.
When Spidey has to jump off the wall ricochet and he's punching him in the face and he's goblin laughing in your face.
But even before that, before it pops off, it's that speech that he gives right before they start fighting, where he's just like, he knows what he's going to do, and then that's how he's able to convince both Jamie and Electro and
he rallies the troops.
And he's just like, what does he say? Something along the lines of like, we're kings or
we're
whatever.
gods.
Whatever it is. And then Jamie's like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah.
And then even Sandman's like, and you're like,
and that's straight up Ultimate Spider-Man, by the way. His outfit, the speech, and he's the one that gathers the Sinister Six in the Ultimate Universe. Right. They just did it.
It was so great. So and then the fight happens, and he's kicking his ass the whole way through. He's trying to figure a way out of it, and everybody's kind of taking off. And now J. Jonah Jameson gets his footage. He's able to do it. The Lizard goes out, and you're like, oh, this is where it all goes down, right? You know from the trailers alone stuff you're gonna see. And then we get to the moment. Right. And so the fight's happening. He's getting choked out. It's over, and May comes in. And so we just watched Matrix recently, and again, just for people who have not seen the third Matrix, it's a spoiler for you. So there's a scene at the end of the Matrix, the third movie, and as Neo and Trinity are together, there's like a quick crash and a quick shot. If you pause it, you will see Trinity get impaled, but it's quick. Same thing here.
Yeah, I noticed it on the second watch.
So when the glider comes in,
I didn't see her get impaled. I just saw her
get hit,
and I was like, "That's a."
She got tossed by the glider.
Trinity got impaled, but you still see that she got hit hard enough that you know it's going to be a problem.
Which is why because at first I was like,
I bought her acting the first time.
I bought it at first, and I was like, but that doesn't make logical sense. That thing was going like she must be dead because that thing was going like 60 miles per hour.
I knew it was over. Like, there was going to be some kind of. I just didn't know when it was coming, but I knew there was going to be a blood reveal.
Yeah.
Like whether it was like a blood drop started to come from where she was talking, or ultimately what happened where he goes and he just sees it's over. But she's just trying to be that calm presence she always has been for him.
Yeah.
And it's just this is where the acting and everything kind of really comes from Tom Holland. Is what he does here. He just makes you feel it. There's another scene I'm going to talk about in a moment, but this particular scene, what he's able to do and the emotion. And then Favreau coming in and looking at Favreau. Favreau knows. Doesn't have to say anything. He just knows. Like right then and there. And then it's tragic. And the way that we've seen death scenes a million times over if you watch stuff. There's something that this kid does, and the way he's like, "Come on, cut it out. Let's do it. Come on." It almost reminds me like Simba. He's like, "Come on, cut it out." And it's just. It's all he has. There is no Ben, we find out. At least not.
And at the first watch, I'll admit, and it's skipping ahead, but in the first watch, I was really bothered by the tombstone not being Aunt May and Uncle Ben. I was really bothered by May Parker not having a Ben Parker tombstone next to it.
Oh, I was.
Because there isn't.
Yeah, there is no.
And my brain was like, ooh, that's disrespectful. And then I was like, no, we had an entire scene about Uncle Ben not being a factor.
The second.
So my comic brain had to go like, quiet now. And my movie brain, but it was great because the second watch, I was able to go, oh, this is this universe. Right. Enjoy this take.
Because the second she says, with great power comes great responsibility, that told me there is no Ben in this.
And that beautifully worked for me.
And then it's referenced by both Toby and Andrew, say, oh, for us it was Ben, that's it.
And I love that later we get Andrew saying Gwen, because that does change the marquee dynamic, which is, we'll get there, but the death of Aunt May is, I think, the reason this might beat Spider-Verse for me is because I love Spider-Verse in that it does so many things to get the character right.
Yeah.
But I've never cried during a Spider-Man movie, and I've never felt what I felt in the comics for the loss of Spider-Man until this one.
Yeah,
I got close with Gwen.
It has more time
than, to be fair to Spider-Verse. It has more time to do that to you. And it also has a lot more movies to do that to you because of all the
It's the 7th or 8th movie, not
so that's what it has. That's what it has over Spider-Verse. Spider-Verse standing as alone as just a single movie. Of course, I'm agreeing with you that I think out of both of these movies, this is the one I'll probably go. I love Spider-Verse. So I'll go back and want to watch.
I might watch this again today,
but that's because it has more stuff. Is it out?
It is today.
But I'm like thinking about it, I'm like, if I try a single seat, like I know it's sold out. I'm like, it's good, man.
No. It's and that's I plan on going on Saturday and Sunday and just finding time to do that. But yeah, I Christian heard me. Like I was trying to stifle it, but I couldn't. Like I was a mess.
I heard you. I don't know where. Obviously, I can hold that stuff in. So I'm holding that stuff. But
New York, we did it.
But I don't know if you can tell where it got me, when it got me. But there was one particular moment that I'll get into in a little bit. But this was the thing. He's out. He's done. This sets us up.
Yeah.
This is the big stuff because now he's gone, and now that Peter Parker that we've known that tries to help everybody. He's trying to figure it out. Who wanted to save it? Took the whole box away just to make sure, because he did not want these characters to die. He didn't want to send them back, knowing he could have fixed them. That's gone. He's now just pure anger and rage because he feels that he's once again responsible.
Dude, this moment for me, I think why it hit me so hard. My best friend out of college, his mom had been fighting cancer. She beat it 6 times. This is her 7th bout with cancer. And a doctor messed up and gave her the wrong dosage. So then she had a massive heart attack, and then that was it. And it was the same thing for him, where his mom was the thing that kept him in check and kept him together. And after that, I mean, he's doing great now, but at the time, he was a ball of rage for years because that was the one thing. And so it really affected me because I remember we had just graduated, we had moved in, and I remember the phone call he got. And I remember, like, he was in shock. He punched, like, through a door. And, like, I didn't know what to say to him. And it drained me because she was like a surrogate mother to me, too. So that's why this took me out so hard. And it was done so, because the same language Tom was using, of, like, good plan, like, come on. Same thing. He was like, what are you talking about?
Right.
She was just going in for a routine.
This denial. And that's one of the reasons why a particular scene hit me in a different way, was that when this happens, he goes off. And now we get to our moment. Because now you have MJ and Ned who just want to find their friend.
Yeah.
They know how hurt he is. They know they can feel it. They just want to be there for their friend. So at this point, we've kind of, I think, figured out that Ned could do the magic at one point. I'm not
he
sure.
was a Sparky hand thing when they were.
Oh, right. He did a couple of those things. So, and now we get to the part, we've already addressed it. He's opening up portals, whatever, but he's like, I just wish we could find Peter Parker. Oh, do that again.
Yeah.
I just wish we could find Peter Parker. And then you see that figure in the back.
Oh,
Winston called it right away. And a part of me was like, nice call. Part of me was like, why don't you just let me enjoy that?
My man. It's because Andrew just, his height and the shape of his head.
Yeah. Oh,
it's so specific. All 3 of them differently.
Yeah.
But it got me excited when he said it. She's like, and I'm like, oh, you're right.
So I had a
Garfield dog.
I don't know like you did. I saw my manager's phone went off right as the portal opened, and he lit up. And I was like, if you take your fucking phone out, I'm gonna fucking kill you. I literally like whispered that at him. That was a real. The impact was important, but I literally had the same thing. I was like, this is the most important moment of my life. If you ruin this for me right now, I swear. And I don't know that I've ever felt that big of a swelling of emotion in a movie since, like, I mean, the Thor landing in Endgame, Cap willing the shield in Endgame, like those moments. But this was tied to my childhood. Like, this was my entire life led to this.
So different from because this was why people didn't know. There was rumored how these 2 guys were going to be in the movie. So how long? Is it going to be like a cameo thing? It's going to be. Thank God I was right. There was no freaking Spider-Man. But anyway, but I love Spider-Man, but it's not for this movie.
That's Peter Porker, totally different, man.
But the idea was how they were going to make this work. At the point when they got here, they had already set up things so great that it made sense of how these guys were going to work into this movie if they did it the right way, and they do it the right way. So he comes in, and this scene, you talk about the humor in this movie combined with the emotional moments. And Garfield comes in, reveals his face. It's a great. It's reminding me of wrestling also too. It's just like we haven't seen one of the old school kind of wrestlers in a long time.
Oh my God, Stone Cold!
Yeah.
Stone Cold!
Oh my God, it's Garfield! It's Garfield! And he does, and he comes back and he does his moment, but then he's like, "You're not Peter Parker." He's like, "Yeah, well, I kind of am." And then he's just like, "Prove it." He does this. He's like, "That doesn't prove anything."
No, crawl on the ceiling.
But first he goes, "This doesn't prove anything."
This is plenty.
And it's that classic Garfield Spider-Man that we got. That he, to this day, out of the three of them, he still has the best wit.
I stand by it, and this is probably where you want to get your questions in about my thoughts on certain trio.
But we haven't revealed him yet.
Okay, well, in the next 5 minutes. But I will say, with this Garfield reveal, as soon as he showed up, I was like, this is Spider-Man. And then it just stayed that way for the next hour and a half. Like, as soon as he showed up, I was like, I now know the truth.
But you know what they did, though, Corey, even though that's obviously a funny bit, but the thing is, they made it so that everybody can have a Spider-Man.
Oh, 100%. Anyone can wear the mask. Anyone can watch that.
Yeah, they made it. Here's your three. These are the three.
Yeah.
They all count now.
And they're all different. And that's what I like about
it's not
them.
that
We got to see them
beforehand, but it's different now because, like I said before, now when you go back and you watch the Raimi ones, they all tie into this movie. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant move. That all ties in.
Dude, they literally all got stars in Mario, bro. Like all of a sudden, even if you were like, I'm about to die right here, all of the bad movies got a massive level up.
They're. This is
like Thor: Dark World.
Yeah.
Where they made it like, oh, look what we fixed.
This is not a 3-movie set. This is an 8-movie set.
Yeah.
It completely is because of all the references that come in. Will you be lost if you haven't seen the movies? No. But if you have seen all of them, after doing that rewatch that we did, it was so much more relevant.
I agree. I would say you at least need to watch the two Tom Hollands.
Do all of them.
You mean
you not get lost? Yes.
You need to at least see the two Tom Hollands.
Of course.
But it's better if you watch everything.
My premiere date, the girl I brought hadn't seen anything since Spider-Man 2. She didn't see Spider-Man 3. She hadn't seen Amazing 1. Hadn't seen Amazing 2. Hadn't seen Tom.
How'd that land for her?
Hadn't seen Tom. Loved.
Yeah.
Because this is like I'm the rare exception of I literally was like as soon as the credits were like, what was that for you? She said
was that for the movie or something else?
I'm gonna just give Christian MVP of the day. Whoa. I'm like he's on Alpha Brain or something. I'm just gonna give him kids.
Go ahead and take me out.
Yeah,
bro.
man.
Just go ahead and finish me, bro. As Christian did it, just
that was a beautiful organic web fluid reference. I want to say
Come on, Winston, you're on the clock.
Oh, there it is. Yeah,
you're on the clock. Oh man, all right.
So we'd like to trade our first round draft, Joe.
So she hasn't seen
10% off a DraftKings.
Hadn't seen most of the movies, but is a comic nerd and loves the comics and loves the world. So she was like, she actually was able to love Tom Holland immediately, and now I want her to watch Homecoming and Far From Home to see her experience of it because she immediately understood Garfield's whole thing.
Right.
He's got that to me the reason Garfield's my favorite is when he puts on the Spider-Man suit, it's still the same neurotic thing. It's just defensive humor, but when he's Spider-Man, he's self-deprecating and he's self-effacing. And to me, Spider-Man, if you stay too similar in and out of the suit, it's not the character.
Sure.
And I feel like Tom, it's really ironic to me. Everyone's like, Andrew Garfield was too cool. I'm like, no, he was a defense mechanism. He was skateboarding to try to be comfortable. He was doing all these things that weren't cool. It was dismissive. And then Tom, to me, is cool. Like, Tom is like...
But this is the other difference. This is why you can say that in every single... This is what they did so well for all these movies. Even if you feel that Peter Parker is too cool, right? That's how he is in that universe.
Right, it's all subjective.
And it's like, he's a little too angry in the Raimi universe. That's how he behaved in that universe.
Yeah.
And in this, they set that up.
It's all accurate.
And it's not like people are like, oh, but that's easy to say. You can say about any character. No. Because that's not set up in any other movie. But it's set up in this movie.
The multiverse is real for this.
So here's the other brilliance. And again, you don't have to watch this, but it helps explain this. If you have seen Loki, it also sets that up because all the Lokis, there is a specific element of Loki that is true to all of them. But Alligator Loki is different than Selby, is different than Loki, is different than...
I had a question for
President
both of you
Loki.
guys. Wait, both of you, because I don't know, and I feel like it's no, but the thing that Ned has, not
Sling Ray.
Not Ned.
Spider-Man?
Yes, that he gives him to shoot back in. Is that an Eternals thing?
No, that's definitely. I see where you're getting at because
like,
this type of iconography, but it's definitely like a Doctor Strange.
I just did a spell.
I figured it just looked like something like
I can see that.
But all right, so back to the moment. So Garfield is there, and he's
Cleaning
grandmother.
All this stuff is like, she says, "Can you get up?" And so you made a go up there and clean up the cobwebs since you're up there. And he's like, "Ugh." And I love how that is respect for his elders. It's what makes him do it. He's not gonna let some child tell him to crawl around. But grandma says, "Can you clean this up?" He's like,
respect for it, and then it's like, okay, well, that's not. We need to find them. So just keep trying it until you do it. The second they say that, you know.
And then Andrew making that face of like, we need the real Peter Parker, and Andrew like, and like to me that felt like what he heard for years. Andrew Garfield was told that as Spider-Man for years.
But what's interesting about this is the fact that, like, knowing that, is it because Ned and MJ said that Peter Parker, that's why they start flinging at each other? Because they fight for half a second.
Yes, because the whole when he comes in, he's like, that's not our friend.
Yeah, it's like a Western defense mechanism.
And what I really thought was great, and we get to the funniest line of the whole movie in a second, but when they're fighting and then Toby is not in a costume, I'm like, oh, maybe he doesn't want to put on the costume. It plays to the future. What does he call him? He calls him a
youth pastor.
He calls him a youth pastor.
Youth pastor.
That was after they left the.
That was later. That was later. Are you going to suit up for battle? Or are you going to walk around like a youth pastor?
That was amazing.
Hilarious. And so any of that, and so we get back to that thing where they have to figure it out.
Yep.
You got to figure out what's going on, and then they
all
behind
this time.
They all work together and figure we're going to help your friend. He said, well, where would you go? For me, it was the Empire State Building. For me, it was Christ.
It was a better view.
Yeah.
But you love that part.
It was like everything when they were going like that chemistry right away that they had. Like, oh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
They set this up already. This is going to be fun. Just wait until they get Tom involved. Let's go see your friend. So this is the moment to me that really got me. The one I started to choke up because there is a moment, and I don't know. And you clearly from the story you just told, you have felt this. I don't know if anybody has felt the loss of somebody or real grief. There is a feeling that you don't really want to have somebody feel. I hope that everybody is going to feel it one time in their life, maybe more. But there is it's just an indescribable feeling. So when Tom Holland is on that roof and he is just overtaken by it. I right away went back to when my brother passed away. Like I felt it right away. It was that same feeling because that is what that guy brought out. Like I was like, that's real grief that he feels right now. I don't know where he went, the actor. I don't know where he went to feel that, but I've been there, and he's doing it. And then this just wonderfully sweet moment of the three of them. Don't say hugging. It's this hug, and I gotta tell you, Ned's not my favorite character. I think he's a good character. He's just not my favorite. He just gets a little annoying to me sometimes. What he's doing and the way he's just holding on to his friend, I focused in on him when I saw him because he's just got this big bear hug.